Welcome to the channel Darkness at Night. Tonight, we begin a chilling story that unfolds in the fog-shrouded city of Dalat. If you're listening to this at night, check your doors and windows because someone might be standing outside, watching you in silence. A cold wind slips through the crack of the window. The thin curtain stirs as if an invisible hand has pulled it. In a tiny rented room on the outskirts of Dalat, Nam sits hunched at a table. The yellow lamp throws his shadow across the wall, distorted like a grotesque figure. He mumbles in a hoarse voice, "Oh God, why am I so unlucky?" Outside, a fine drizzle hangs in the air and a dog howls in the distance. The biting cold creeps through the window gap, raising the hairs on Nam's skin. He pulls his jacket tighter and stares at his phone with bloodshot eyes. One more round? I have to win it back. His trembling finger places the bet. The screen blinks, the dice spin, and the triumphant tune plays, making his heart pound. I won. I actually won. Nam jumps up, laughing wildly. But the joy doesn't last. A notification pops up. His balance is only a little over 10 million. He'd burned through hundreds of millions in earlier rounds. Laughing cut short, he screams like a wounded animal. No, I have to get it all back. I must be rich. I need money. Silence fills the room. Only the wind whistles at the window. Nam collapses onto the bed, burying his head in his hands. Cold sweat beads on his forehead. He thinks of the loan sharks, the threatening phone calls. If you don't pay, I'll cut your eyebrow off. T-Bow's voice rings in his head. Nam shudders. Those men don't joke. He'd watched them break another debtor's arm right in front of him. The door next to Nam's room creaks open. Footsteps echo lightly in the hallway. Nam looks up. It's Lynn, the girl renting a room in the same row. She beams, phone in hand, her voice bubbling with joy. "Mom, I won the lottery. 3 billion. Can you believe it? I'm coming home soon to buy you a new house." Nam freezes. His eyes blaze like sparks. Lynn shuts her door, the click of the lock snapping the silence back into place. In Nam's mind, a thought slithers like a venomous snake. If that money were mine, I could pay off my debt, still have enough for a car. A house? He mutters to himself, breath quick and shallow. No, I can't. That would be murder. Nam, but if I don't, I'm dead anyway? The wind howls outside like someone sneering. Nam grips the small knife on the table, the one he uses to peel fruit every night. The blade gleams, reflecting his bloodshot eyes. Just take it, no one will ever know. His stomach twists. In his mind, his mother appears, frail, stooped, toiling in the fields. She once said, "Nam, study hard, escape poverty, my son." Nam lets out a bitter laugh. "I'm sorry, Mom, I have no other choice." That night, the Dalat sky sinks into pitch black. The insects fall silent, as if sensing doom. Nam opens his door and steps into the corridor. The neon light flickers on, off, before dying, leaving the hallway smothered in darkness. His footsteps echo, slow and deliberate. He stops at Lynn's door. His trembling hand knocks softly. Knock, knock. Inside, slippers drag across the floor. The lock clicks. The door cracks open. A yellow glow spills out. Lynn peeks her head. "Oh, Nam, what is it? Can I borrow your charger for a bit?" Lynn smiles and turns back into the room. In that instant, Nam slams the door wide. Rushing in, the knife flashes. Before Lynn can scream, the blade is pressed to her neck. "Give me the ticket." She stumbles back, tears flooding her eyes. "Nam, calm down. I'll give you money. Don't do this." Nam roars. "I need the ticket. Hand it over." The small room shakes with the struggle. Furniture crashes. Lynn bites his arm. He howls and thrashes, stabbing wildly. Blood splatters the walls, spattering across Nam's face. Lynn collapses, eyes wide with horror. Her breath shudders, then stops. Nam pants heavily. The metallic stench of blood fills his nostrils. A crimson pool spreads across the tile. Dead? She's really dead? He fumbles through her bag, finds the lottery ticket, some gold, then grabs her limp hand to unlock the phone. Blood-smeared fingerprints press the screen as he transfers all the money. When it's done, Nam sinks beside her body, clutching his head, whispering, "I'm sorry, I just wanted to pay my debts." Outside, the fog thickens, blanketing the row of rooms. The wind whistles sharply, like distant laughter mocking his sin. Nam slumps to the floor, his blood-stained hands trembling. The ticking of the wall clock pounds in his ears like a dagger. He jolts, eyes fixed on Lynn's lifeless body sprawled across the ground, her wide, vacant eyes staring into nothingness. What do I do now? Hide the body, hide it well. Staggering to his feet, he pulls a blanket over Lynn. The blood seeps through instantly, blooming red like a grotesque flower. Nam clamps his hand over his mouth, fighting the urge to vomit. He rushes back to his room, drags out a small shovel and a few spare bricks hidden in the corner. Each clang of metal against the floor echoes like a hammer to his chest. Clang, clang, clang. Sweat pours down, mixing with the blood on the ground, creating a rancid stench. Rain lashes the tin roof above, but the sound of the shovel digging into the floor rises above it. Chilling and relentless, Nam mutters, "No one knows, no one will ever know. Just bury it under the floor, done." Finally, a shallow pit emerges. Nam drags Lynn's body into it, avoiding her pale face. As her head touches the dirt, he swears he hears a faint sigh escape. He jerks upright, whipping around. The boarding room is pitch black except for the dim bulb stretching his shadow monstrously across the wall. No, I'm imagining things. He shovels the dirt back in, smears cement, his hands caked with blood and dust. When the last brick is laid, he gasps for breath, as though waking from a nightmare. Staring at the freshly sealed floor, he mutters, "It's done, no one will ever know." But blood still streaks his face, trickling into his mouth, salty and metallic. He bolts to the bathroom, twisting the faucet open. Water gushes out, echoing through the night. In the mirror, his reflection stares back pale, eyes burning crimson. "What have you done, Nam? You killed her?" The wind screeches at the window. In the mirror, the space behind him blurs. A figure seems to stand there. Nam spins around, nothing. He stammers, No fear, just sleep, tomorrow. Pay the debt?" Dragging himself to bed, he collapses, but sleep won't come. Minutes later, he shoots up, heart pounding. Somewhere in the room, a faint sound drifts, soft sobbing, muffled cries. "Who's there?" Silence. Nam swallows hard, sweat dripping down his neck. The wind whines through the crack of the door, like nails scraping along the hallway. "You trying to scare me?" Suddenly, a knock rattles the door. Knock, knock, knock. Nam freezes. He edges closer, pressing his ear against it. No footsteps. The hallway is pitch dark. He shouts, voice quivering, "Who's out there?" No answer. The knocking stops. Only the drizzled tapping outside remains. Nam stumbles back, his spine pressed to the wall, his chest heaving. The darkness in the room thickens, pressing in, choking him. Clutching his head, he whispers, "I just wanted to pay my debt, please. Forgive me." A gust of icy wind sweeps through. The ceiling light flickers violently. In one instant of darkness, Nam sees it clearly. A figure standing in the center of the room. Hair hanging loose, face hidden. The light flashes back on. No one there, but the floor where he buried Lynn glistens wet, blood red. As if freshly spilled, Nam screams, "Eh!" He scrambles into the corner, trembling. When he dares to look again, the tiles are dry, untouched, spotless. Panting, clutching his chest, Nam knows one thing for certain: he will not sleep a single second tonight. Nam sits with his knees drawn up against the wall, eyes wide and unblinking. The night isn't half over, but he dare not sleep. The wind outside the window keens like someone calling his name. He whispers, "I'm not scared, I'm not scared," but his hands are soaked with sweat. Every time he looks down at the tiled floor, it seems to heave, as if breathing. The drip of water from the bathroom echoes like a countdown. Nam hisses, "Shut up." The dripping stops. Silence presses into the room. Suddenly, The sound of slippers dragging comes from the hallway. Slow and steady. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Nam's hair stands on end. He holds his breath, straining to listen. The footsteps stop right outside his door. Knock, knock. Who is it? No answer. Don't scare me, please. The door groans as if someone is scratching it. Nam trembles and grabs the knife from the table. Abruptly, the light goes out. The room drops into pitch black. From that blackness, a whisper, broken and distant. It's cold, in here. He shouts. What do you want? The whisper comes again. Take your life? A cold gust blows through. The metallic smell of blood hits his nose. Nam turns on his phone flashlight and sweeps the beam across the room. In the corner, right above the spot where he buried her, Lynn stands. Her hair matted with blood hides half her face. Her clothes are stained crimson. Her eyes, milky white, stare straight at Nam. Nam backs toward the door, mouth trembling. You're dead? Stop following me? Lynn doesn't move. Blood drips from her in soft plinks. Drip, drip. Nam shakes so hard he drops the phone. The light dies. The room goes black. Footsteps begin to move toward him. No, don't come near me. He throws the door open and bolts into the hallway. The fog wraps around him like a wet blanket. The corridor is pitch dark. Neon lights flicker on and off. Nam runs out into the courtyard. The fine rain lashes his cold face. Gasping, he stands in the yard and looks around. No one is there, but from Lynn's door a dark red trail seeps out, stretching all the way to where he stands. Nam screams in panic. Go away, I beg you. A faint laugh drifts somewhere in the mist. Nam drops to his knees, hands clutching his head. I'll throw it all away, all of it, please. Don't haunt me anymore. He rushes back inside, stuffs the lottery ticket, gold, and Lynn's phone into a backpack. That night, Nam runs through the thick fog straight to Zon Hong Lake. The lake is pitch black. He hurls each item into the water. Each splash rings hollow and cold. It's done. It's over. He collapses at the edge, sobbing, but the wind off the lake only grows stronger. Through the white mist, Nam sees Lynn's figure standing on the far shore, pointing at him. No. Nam falls over and blacks out. The next morning, Nam wakes on the shore of the lake, clothes drenched, body frozen stiff. The sun barely peeks over the horizon. Fog still clinging thick. He staggers to his feet, dark circles under his eyes, and shuffles back toward the boarding house. Lynn's room is silent. The door is locked tight. Nam's gaze flickers nervously to the floor of his own room. No blood, no trace. It's fine, it's over. I threw everything away. He draws a shaky breath, changes clothes, and heads to his morning shift at the hotel. The small hotel sits atop a misty hill, the entrance veiled in fog. As Nam walks into the lobby, the damp smell of wood hits him. The receptionist calls out, Nam, clean room 203. The guest checked out early. Nam nods, grabbing his cleaning supplies, and heads upstairs. The second floor hallway is dimmer than usual. One bulb has burned out, leaving only faint light spilling from the far end. He steps into room 203. Empty. The bed is unmade. He starts tidying, but as he reaches the bathroom, the shower suddenly hisses to life. Huh? I didn't turn that on. He moves closer and shuts it off. The water stops, but when he turns, he sees it, a long red smear across the mirror, like a streak of blood. Nam stumbles back, stammering, No, that's impossible. A whisper brushes his ear. Nam. He jolts, spinning around. No one, only the curtain sways, though the window is sealed shut. Nam shouts in a low, broken voice, Why did you follow me here? In the mirror, a shadow flickers, long, soaked hair dripping, blood pattering onto the tile. Nam swings the broom and smashes the mirror. Glass shatters with a sharp crash. The noise brings the hotel manager rushing in. Nam, what on earth are you doing? Nam pants, sweat soaking his back. There was someone here. The manager frowns. Who? The guest already checked out. He glances around. The room is empty. Only Nam, trembling like a leaf. What's wrong with you? Take a break. Wash your face. Nam nods frantically. But as he steps into the hallway, he hears it, the sound of slippers dragging behind him. He whirls around, the corridor is empty. "Don't follow me, I'm begging you." From the far end of the hall, the whisper comes again. "I'm here." The ceiling light flickers, then goes out. A dark figure at the end of the hallway begins moving toward him. Nam bolts down the stairs, ignoring the manager calling after him. Bursting into the lobby, he gasps for air, sweat streaming down his face. And in that moment, Nam knows the truth. The haunting isn't bound to the boarding house. It follows him, wherever he goes. That night, Dalat turned unnaturally cold. Fog lay so thick that from the porch you couldn't even see the fence. Nam locked his door tight and pulled the blanket over his head. He lay still, straining to catch every sound. Outside, the wind howled through the cracks, rattling the door against its frame. "There's no one, it's just the wind," Nam whispered, trying to steady himself. But then, from beneath the tiles, came a sharp crack, then another. He shot upright, listening. Something scraped under the floorboards. *SCRRR, scrr, *slow. Dragging. Don't come up, please." He pressed himself into the corner. Heart hammering. The sound cut off. Silence thickened, heavy and suffocating. Then came a soft weeping. A woman's voice, muffled, broken, right by his ear. "Give it back to me." Nam screamed, clutching his head, curling on the bed. "I didn't mean to. I just needed the money." The crying ceased. The room sank into silence again. Nam gasped for breath, sweat dripping down his neck. Gathering what little courage he had, he knelt, pressing his ear to the cold tile. Nothing, only the pounding of his own heart. Suddenly, the floor turned icy, freezing against his skin. A bead of scarlet seeped up through the grout, spreading wider. Nam jerked back, crashing into the wall. A whisper rose, drawn out, slithering, like someone crawling up from beneath the earth. "Nam, I hurt so much." Nam shook violently, eyes locked on the floor. "I don't want to see you. Leave me alone." A dark shape emerged, hazy, in the center of the room. Long hair veiled the face, her clothes dripped with blood. Slowly, the head lifted, eyes rolled white, fixed on Nam. He shrieked and lunged for the door, fumbling with the latch before bursting out. He tore down the boarding house hallway, kicking open the back exit, sprinting straight into the street. The Dalat night was suffocatingly black, fog clinging to every step. Nam ran blindly until his legs gave out. He collapsed onto the stone steps of a stranger's house. Inside, a faint light flickered. An old woman opened the door, staring at him in shock. "What's got you running like the devil's after you?" Nam gasped between ragged breaths. "Please, let me stay the night. I can't go back." The old woman nodded and ushered him in. The smell of smoke from the hearth clung to the cramped little home, giving Nam a fleeting warmth. But in his head, the sound of that weeping still echoed. In the small kitchen, the old woman pours Nam a cup of hot tea. "Drink this. Warm yourself up. You look like you just crawled back from hell." Nam takes it with trembling hands. Sipping slowly, the warmth spreads, but his hands remain icy cold. The old woman clicks her tongue. "I've lived here for years and seen many lost souls. What did you meet out on the road?" Nam lowers his head and whispers. I heard crying. I saw someone, but it wasn't an ordinary person." The old woman pauses, narrowing her eyes at him. "In this land, there are many spirits. Those who died unjustly don't move on. They hunt down the ones who caused their death." Nam trembles, clutching the teacup. "I didn't mean to." A dog suddenly barks furiously outside. Wind slips through the cracks and the oil lamp flickers. The old woman frowns. "Who's out on the yard at this hour?" Nam recoils, staring at the door. On the dew-wet ground, a dark red smear spreads, as if something had been dragged in from the street. "Oh my God, blood?" Nam backs into the wall, bumping the corner. Slow, dragging footsteps scrape across the porch. Then a pounding at the door. "Knock, knock, knock." A broken whisper threads through the crack. "Nam, open the door?" The old woman turns pale and hurriedly lights incense, planting it in the middle of the room. Smoke curls thick, Do you owe anyone a grudge? Nam clutches his head and cries out. I slipped up, I killed someone. The knocking stops. A cold gust snuffs out the oil lamp. The room goes black. In the dark, footsteps creep around the house. Soft breathing presses against the walls. Nam panics and falls to his knees. Please spare me, I'll give it all back. A white shape flashes across the window. Pale eyes press against the glass, staring straight at Nam. Not finished yet? Nam screams and throws himself over the old woman. She chants, murmuring prayers without pause. A chilling shriek rings out, and the white shape dissolves. When the light is relit, the blood smear on the porch has vanished, but the ground is still wet, marked with fresh red footprints leading down the slope in front of the house. Nam collapses into a seat, hands shaking. It won't forgive me, it will come back. The old woman regards him sternly. You must repent, confess, otherwise the wronged spirit will drag you away. Nam falls silent. Fear and despair twist inside him, squeezing his breath tight. The next morning Nam leaves the old woman's house. The sun is just breaking through, but the fog hasn't lifted yet. He walks down the slope, his legs heavy as if something is pulling at him. He tells himself, stay alert, don't be afraid. But inside, the fear is a sharp thorn. He stops at a small corner cafe and orders a hot black coffee. Around him, people chat and laugh. Traffic hums outside. Nam starts to feel a little lighter. He lifts the cup to his lips. Suddenly, Lynn's face ripples up in the dark surface of the coffee. Her hair is wet and matted, blood trickling from her mouth. Nam jumps, dropping the cup. The mug shatters. Coffee splashes across the floor like a pool of blood. He bolts upright, gasping, no, this can't be real. A nearby customer asks, bewildered, hey, are you okay? Nam doesn't answer and rushes outside. He dashes into the street and nearly gets hit by a car, horns blare. A whisper presses against his ear in broad daylight. Nam, I'm here. He spins around. Pedestrians stream by as usual. But on the sidewalk, Nam sees Lynn standing there, staring straight at him. What do you want from me? Lynn's ghost grins with a grotesque smile, then vanishes. A nearby vendor stares at Nam in alarm. Who are you talking to? Nam stammers. Nothing, it's nothing. He clutches his head and runs back to the boarding house. When he opens the door, a foul stench hits him. Holding his breath, he looks down at the floor. A corner of the tiles has darkened to a deep black, as if blood is seeping up from beneath. No, I buried it deep. Nam kneels and pries at the tiles with a knife. Under the cement, a choking smell of death rises. He coughs and collapses backward. A moan crawls up from beneath the floor, clear as if someone were buried alive. It hurts so much. Nam screams, throws down the knife, and races out of the room. Neighbors peek through their doors with suspicious looks. That Nam's gone round the bend again. He runs straight to the bus station to buy a ticket out of Dalat. But written across the schedule board in smeared blood are the words, you can't escape. That afternoon, Nam makes his way to a spirit medium's house on the recommendation of neighbors. The wooden house sits tucked among the pines, incense smoke billowing thick across the yard. The medium, a thin old man with deep, hollow eyes, sizes Nam up from head to toe. You carry heavy yin energy. Have you committed some sin? Nam trembles and collapses to his knees. I accidentally killed someone. I can't sleep, she keeps following me. The old man strokes his chin, nodding slowly. If it's the spirit of someone murdered unjustly, it will not forgive you. But let me try to help. He lights incense and sets up an offering on the floor. Eggs, salt and rice, a cup of white liquor. The wooden clappers click in slow, even beats. Nam huddles, hands clenched, sweat beading on his forehead. Suddenly a gust sweeps through the room, scattering ashes. The oil lamp flickers, nearly going out. The old man intones his charms and strikes the ground with a ceremonial rod. A horrible screech rises from the corner of the house. Nam screams. It's here. Through the incense smoke, Lynn's figure appears. Clear as day, her hair hangs loose, blood running down her clothes. She laughs, a sharp, grating sound. Nam, you think you can run? The old man shouts. Back. He whips the rod again. But it snaps in two. A cold blast slams into his face and throws him backward. Nam clutches his head and curls on the floor. Spare me, I beg you. Lin's ghost crawls closer and presses a bloody hand against Nam's face, ice cold. Not finished yet, the oil lamp dies instantly. The room collapses into oppressive blackness. Nam hears the medium gasping for breath, the clappers tumble, rattling across the floor. A low, guttural roar sounds right behind Nam. He screams and bolts from the house. Racing down the slope, wind screams. Pine branches lash his face. But Lin's laughter follows. Nearer and nearer. At the bottom of the hill, Nam collapses. Gasping, he looks back. The medium's house still glows with flames of incense. But Lin stands on the dirt path, staring straight at him. Nam cries out into the night. What do I have to do for you to leave me? The answer comes cold and final. Give your life? Nam drags himself back to the boarding house. It's nearly midnight. Fog blankets the slope, the streetlights flicker, casting dim pools of light. His room is still locked. When he opens the door, the stench of death hits him so strong he has to cover his nose. No, I have to clean this up. He flips on the light. The weak yellow glow reveals dark red stains splattered across the floor. He hauls a bucket and scrubs until his hands bleed. But the red just soaks in deeper the more he wipes. A whisper murmurs from behind him. Keep scrubbing. Nam startles and spins. Lin's shadow squats in the corner. White eyes. A twisted grin. Nam backs against the wall and shouts. Do you want me dead or what? Her laugh is a thin, cutting thing. The specter crawls across the floor, inching closer. Come down with me? Nam tremblingly grabs the knife on the table. I'll do it myself. He presses the blade to his throat. Eyes bulging, the knife slips from his shaking hand and clatters to the floor. He breaks down crying. I'm so scared. I can't die. Lin vanishes. Silence falls. Nam collapses onto the tiles, tears soaking his face. He buries his head against the cold floor and whispers, Please, forgive me? I'll give everything back. A knocking sounds at the door. Knock, knock, knock. Nam jerks up. The knocking grows louder. He opens the door. The porch is empty. When he looks down, a bloody hand lies on the top step, the thumb pointing straight into the room. Nam reels and slams the door shut. He crawls into the corner, hands clamped over his ears. The pounding at the door intensifies. The crying outside becomes a long, keening sob as if someone is kneeling on the porch. Nam, open up? Nam bangs his head against the wall. Shut up, shut up. Neighbors start pounding on his door. Nam, what's going on? But Nam can't hear them. All he hears in his head is the crying, the whining, the screaming. That night he does not sleep. He sits on the floor, eyes wide, staring into the dark corner, waiting for Lin to appear again. Nam sits dazed by his door, dark circles under his eyes, hair a mess. Suddenly, a pounding sounds at the door. Knock, knock, knock. Nam jumps. His heart nearly stops. No, please, not again. A man's voice calls from outside. Open up, we're from the local police. Nam goes pale. His hands shake as he fumbles with the lock. Two officers stand at the door. One takes notes while the other speaks sternly. Are you Nam? Why yes, that's me. We're looking for a woman named Lin, who lives next door. Her family hasn't been able to reach her for 3 days. Have you noticed anything unusual? Nam swallows hard, sweat running down his spine. No. I don't know anything. The officer peers into the room. You look exhausted. Are you hiding something from us? Nam shakes his head frantically. No, sir. The officer writes in his notebook, then says gravely, if you remember anything, tell us right away. They leave. Nam shuts the door and slides down to the floor. Gasping, he clutches his head and mumbles, I can't take this anymore. Then soft footsteps sound in the hallway. Nam looks up and sees Lin's shadow slip past the door crack, her long hair brushing the floor. He trembles. Please, no, I'm going to be arrested. A whisper threads through the air. "Let them dig you up." Nam screams and pounds the floor with his fists. "No, I won't let them dig me up." He hurriedly stuffs money and clothes into his backpack. When he opens the door, a fresh trail of blood runs along the hallway tiles all the way to the stairs. Nam reels, his heart pounding. Another knock at the door, heavier this time, as if someone is pounding with both hands. Knock, knock, knock. Lin's voice, icy and close. "Open the door." Nam collapses to his knees, sobbing. "I beg you, I'll turn myself in, please. Spare me tonight." The door shakes violently, then falls silent. The hallway is empty. Nam locks the door with shaking hands and presses his back to the wall. He knows now, there is no way out. Nam hasn't slept all night. As soon as the sun rises, he grabs his backpack and leaves the boarding house. The Dalat morning air is crisp. Fog still draped over the narrow road. At the gate, a woman stands waiting. She is frail, hair tied back neatly, her face hollow and drawn. "Son, have you seen my daughter? Her name's Lin. She rents room number 5. We haven't heard from her in days." Nam freezes. His voice trembles. No, I don't know, ma'am." The woman clutches his hand, eyes filled with worry. "She's a good girl, never once ran away. Last night I even dreamed of her crying, saying, Mom, save me. I was so scared I came here myself." Nam's heart slams in his chest. Her grip is tight, icy cold. He pulls free quickly, mumbling, maybe you should wait in the room. I have to go to work." He turns and hurries away, almost running, sweat soaking his back despite the chill. At the market, Nam weaves through the crowd, thinking only of buying a ticket and fleeing home. But as he passes a vegetable stall, he freezes. Amid the bustling shoppers stands a pale figure. Lin, her hair, soaked in blood, hides half her face. She doesn't move. Her eyes, blank and white, lock onto Nam. Nam stumbles backward, knocking over a fruit stand. Avocados rolling everywhere. "My God," the vendor shouts. "Watch where you're going." Nam doesn't answer. He turns and bolts. Behind him, footsteps follow, heavy, dragging, scraping against the cement. Not human. He bursts out of the market and sprints to the bus station. Gasping for breath, he pulls out his phone to book a ticket online. But where the screen should show the bus company's account, a message appears in red. "Pay me, **. Nam hurls the phone to the ground and screams, "I can't take this anymore." People stare at him like he's insane. He snatches the phone back, deletes the app, and decides he'll return to his room, grab all his money, and escape even farther. But as he heads back into the alley of the boarding house, he sees 2 police officers speaking with Lin's mother. One of them points directly at Nam's room. Nam staggers back, heart pounding wildly. A freezing hand suddenly grips his shoulder. He whirls around, no one. Only a whisper brushes his ear. "Run!" Nam clutches his backpack and bolts out of the alley, fleeing toward the pine forest beyond the city. Late afternoon in Dalat turns gloomy. The wind through the pine forest whistling like a warning. Nam pants, legs caked with mud, clothes stained with dirt. He drops down at the base of a pine tree and buries his face in his hands. "What am I going to do? What am I going to do?" A soft, quiet laugh rings through the trees. Nam snaps his head up, eyes scanning. No one is there. "Who's there? Don't scare me anymore." A thin whisper answers, barely more than the breeze. "Here." Nam lunges to his feet, heart racing. A pale figure flickers among the trunks. The girl turns her back and walks slowly deeper into the woods. Nam trembles, but some kind of trance pulls him to follow. Each step crunches dry leaves beneath his feet. The air grows colder and the mist thickens. She stops beneath an old pine. When Nam comes close, she turns. Her face is ashen, blood trickling from the corner of her mouth. Eyes wide and blank. "Dig it up." Nam stumbles backward, shaking his head. "I won't dig. I don't want to see it anymore." The ground at his feet bulges as if something is wriggling below. Nam screams and falls backward. Cold, clawing hands burst from the earth and grab his ankles. He kicks and thrashes, his whole body shaking. Somebody save me. Help me. Then abruptly all goes still. The earth flattens as if nothing happened. The girl has vanished. Only the wind hisses through the needles. Nam scrambles up, sweat soaking his clothes. He grabs his backpack and runs out of the woods, legs shaking. At the forest edge he sees flashing police lights sweeping across the road. They're looking for me. He ducks into a bush and pants. In the dark, a whisper presses against his ear. No matter how far you run, you can't escape. Nam clutches his head, eyes red with tears. I beg you, let me live? I'll tell everything. A freezing gust blows. The pale figure suddenly stands right in front of him and points back toward the city. Go back. Nam collapses and sobs. He understands. This is no longer about running. It's a summons to return and face what he has done. Evening falls. Drizzle beginning to fall. Outside the boarding house, a police cruiser parks at the gate. An officer holds a file and quietly tells the manager, "We have a search order. We need to check the floor in room number 5. Lynn's mother covers her face. Voice choked. My daughter, she's in there. Isn't she, officer? The officer doesn't answer, only signals his team to ready the tools. Meanwhile, Nam slips back into the familiar alley. The weak yellow light stretches his shadow along. His backpack feels unbearably heavy. Each step presses down on his guilt. He opens the room door. The damp, musty smell hits him. The floor gleams, newly tiled, but Nam knows what lies beneath. He kneels in the center of the room, hands shaking as he presses them to the tiles. I'm home. Footsteps sound softly behind him. Nam turns. Lynn stands there, her white dress torn, hair soaked, blood seeping down from her wounds. He bursts into tears, collapsing onto the floor. I'm sorry. I regret it so much. I never meant for you to die. Lynn moves closer and kneels in front of him. Her white eyes stare wide, blood drips, forming a spreading stain on the tiles. A dry, chilling voice says, "Tell everything." Nam grips his head and screams, "I will tell. I'll tell them everything." The door swings wide. 2 police officers step in. One trains a flashlight across the room. "Nam, we need to speak with you." Nam stands, his face wet with tears. "Yes, I know. I'll confess everything." The officers exchange looks and instruct the team to secure the scene. One pulls out a notebook. "Are you ready to show us where the body is buried?" Nam looks at the floor. Lynn is gone. Only a small patch of wet on the tiles remains. He points to the spot. Voice hoarse. "Here, outside." The scraping of shovels begins. The chilling metallic sound cuts through the air. Nam leans against the doorway, utterly spent. The sound of the shovel biting into the floor rings out with a wet, metallic crack, echoing through the whole boarding house. Each strike feels like a blow to Nam's chest. He leans against the wall, eyes bloodshot, hands trembling. Outside in the yard, Lynn's mother kneels, clutching her chest, murmuring prayers. "My child, please forgive them. Let them find you." After a while someone shouts, "We found something." The boarding house falls utterly silent. A choking stench rises, thick and nauseating. The officers lift tiles one by one, revealing a layer of pitch-black earth beneath. Nam covers his mouth, tears stream down his face. He sees Lynn's figure standing behind the police, staring at him. A detective whispers, "Prepare the body bag." They dig deeper. A lock of dark hair mixed with mud surfaces. Lynn's mother screams, lunging forward but is held back. "My daughter, oh God, it's my daughter." Nam collapses to the floor, burying his face in his hands and sobbing. "I'm sorry, please forgive me." No one answers. The sound of shovels resonates. Slower now, heavier. When they lift Lynn's body out, the whole boarding house holds its breath. One officer reads the report. Another looks at Nam. "You'll need to come down to the station with us." Nam nods, voice hoarse. "I'll tell everything. I still have the ticket, the gold, and her phone. I'll hand it all over." The officer snaps the handcuffs on. Nam glances back at the room one last time. Lynn's figure still stands there, but this time her face is softer. She gives him a small nod, then gradually fades into the dim. Nam murmurs to himself, "I'll pay for this." Lin's mother collapses, wailing. Her cries follow Nam all the way out to the police car like 100 needles in his ears. The interrogation room is brightly lit. Outside, the rain taps on the tin roof. Nam sits slumped in the chair, hands cuffed in front of him. His eyes are swollen, his lips bluish. An officer opens a notebook. "Are you ready to give your full statement?" Nam breathes deep and nods. His voice is hoarse. "Yes, I'll tell everything." The story pours out in broken bursts, from the gambling losses and debts, to hearing Lin won the lottery, to that bloody night of April 30th. He describes forcing Lin to unlock her phone, transferring the money, then burying her under the floor. When he finishes, Nam collapses his face onto the table and cries like a child. "I was wrong, I was greedy." The officer finishes the report and quietly steps out. The door to the holding cell closes, leaving Nam alone in the cold little room. He curls up in a corner, eyes vacant. Night falls. Then a small drop of water patters onto the concrete floor. Nam looks up. Lin stands in the corner of the room. Her long hair still hangs, her clothes stained with blood, but her face is no longer fierce. She looks at Nam for a long time with a sad expression. Nam stammers, I told everything, please go." Lin's figure moves slowly closer and lays her hand on Nam's handcuffs. A shock of cold runs down his spine. A faint whisper, barely audible, says, "It's over." Nam bursts into tears and buries his face in his knees. When he looks up, Lin is gone. Only the rain's soft patter and the pale yellow light remain. Nam whispers, "You've forgiven me, haven't you? I will pay." He closes his eyes, and for the first time in months a heavy, peaceful sleep comes over him. On the day of the trial, Nam was led into the courtroom. Light from the window fell across the cold stone floor. Police and the judge looked at him sternly. On Lin's side, her mother knelt, clutching a handkerchief, eyes swollen and lips trembling. "My daughter, how did my daughter end up like this?" Her father stood silently, face pale, hands clenched into fists. Nam stepped up to the witness stand, his heart pounding. His voice shook and went hoarse. I admit everything. I'm sorry." The judge rapped the gavel. "Tell us exactly what happened." Nam recounted it all from the start, detailing every act, the gambling, the debts, hearing that Lin won the lottery, and that bloody night of April 30th. His voice broke often, choked with emotion. Lin's mother covered her face and sobbed aloud. Her sobs echoed around the courtroom. How could anyone be so cruel?" Her father sighed and looked at Nam as if he were a nightmare. You destroyed my daughter's life?" Nam fell to his knees at the stand, tears streaming down his face. "I know, I will pay. I don't ask for forgiveness." The courtroom was so silent Nam could hear every breath, cries, sighs, and the rustle of pages in a file mixing with looks of hatred and sorrow. Nam murmured to himself as if repeating a sentence to keep steady. "I will have to live with what I caused." Outside, the late afternoon light slanted in, stretching long shadows across the stone floor. The atmosphere was heavy and still, as if the whole court was holding its breath for the verdict. The silence in the court was so complete Nam could hear each inhalation. The prosecutor rose, voice grave. "Defendant, your actions caused the death of an innocent young woman. Explain why you did this." Nam trembled, voice hoarse. I don't know. I was greedy. I lost control." Lin's mother stood, clutching her handkerchief, eyes red, voice quivering. How could you be so cruel? My child. Nam bowed his head and could not look up. His heart hammered. Each sob from Lin's mother felt like a knife in his chest. Lin's father spoke sternly. "Do you understand the consequences? You've ruined our whole family." Nam nodded, tears streaming. "Yes, I understand. I will take responsibility." The prosecutor pressed on, gaze sharp. "You stole money, killed someone, and concealed the body. Do you feel remorse? Do you repent?" Nam wept, voice choked. I regret it. I don't want anyone to suffer as I have." The courtroom fell silent. Lin's mother's eyes never left him. Every look she gave was an indictment heavier than any sentence. Nam murmured, as if to himself, I will have to live with this pain for the rest of my life. Rain pattered outside, joining the heavy sighs. Everything felt like it pressed Nam into a dark corner, where he could not run, could not escape his own conscience. The courtroom fell silent. The judge rapped the gavel. Voice grave. Defendant Nam. After reviewing the file, testimony and evidence, the court hereby sentences you. Nam bowed his head, eyes rimmed red, heart pounding. Lin's mother clutched a handkerchief and wept, her father standing motionless, his gaze full of hatred. The defendant is sentenced to life imprisonment for murder and robbery. The gavel struck the bench and the sound echoed through Nam like a death knell. He sank to his knees, hands over his head, sobbing. I understand. I will live with this pain. Outside the courtroom, late afternoon light slanted through the windows, stretching long shadows across the stone floor. Nam felt a cold hand rest on his shoulder. When he turned, Lin stood there in a torn white dress, dried blood on her clothes, eyes fixed on him. Greed will kill a person? Nam choked back a sob and buried his face in the seat. The girl remained silent, then slowly faded into the air. Only sighs and tears were left behind. Nam's mother, who had come from the countryside to visit, told him of a dream the night before. Lin had appeared, nodded softly, and warned Nam, "Learn to stop, greed will kill you." Nam pressed his mother's hand to his lips, tears mixing with late regret. He understood that whether he lived or died, Lin's image and his crime would follow him forever. The trial ended under a heavy, bleak atmosphere. Nam was led away, his steps unsteady on the cold stone floor as he took one last look at the courtroom, the place where his life had been turned toward a road with no escape. Nam sat on the cold iron bed, pale fluorescent light washing his face. His hands trembled as he stared at the gray wall. What must I endure now? Footsteps sounded in the corridor. He looked up. No one. Only darkness passing beneath the door crack. It's cold here. Nam flinched, his body shaking. The whispers stabbed into his head like 100 pins. He rose and paced the small cell, trying to fill the void with motion. But the darkness clung to him. Night fell. He tried to sleep but dreamed of Lin standing in the prison yard. Hair loose, her white dress stained with blood. Her gaze was fixed, her lips curved in a sorrowful smile. Why so greedy? Nam woke with a start, drenched in sweat, heart racing. He pressed his face to the pillow and murmured, "I'm sorry, I will pay." But nothing changed. Lin's figure appeared everywhere, in his rice bowl, in the water bucket, in the shadow under the iron bed. He saw her hand lift the backpack, turn the cell latch, watch him from every angle. You must pay with your life? Nam clutched his head and shook it, trying to banish the specter. His voice trembled. Stop, let me live? But the whispering kept coming. An endless nightmare. He realized then that in prison it wasn't only his body that was confined, his soul had no escape either. Nam squatted in the middle of the cell, eyes wide, lips trembling as he muttered, How am I supposed to live now? The flickering fluorescent light cast his shadow twisting and writhing on the wall. Suddenly footsteps echoed, and Nam spun around. A white figure stood in the corner. Here, Nam panicked, backing up until he hit the iron bed. He clutched his head and screamed, God, help me! But there was no one, only darkness. Lin appeared before his eyes, pupils blank white, dried blood staining her shirt. She smiled sadly, then vanished, leaving the room icy cold. At mealtime, Nam saw Lin reflected in his bowl of soup, her long hair dangling, her gaze fixed on him. He screamed and smashed the bowl on the floor. Don't stop haunting me? The entire cell filled with a faint, chilling laugh. Nam buried his face in his hands, heart pounding as if ready to explode. He muttered to himself, I must pay, I must pay. But it didn't stop. Lin's figure appeared in the mirror. On the wall, on the ceiling, the whispers continued. Greed will kill? Nam collapsed onto the floor, trembling, stammering. I know already. He rose and paced in circles. But there was no escape. Every draft from the window felt like a cold hand on his shoulder. Every ordinary sound turned into phantom footsteps. That night, Nam didn't sleep. Every shadow carried Lin's shape, making him realize that whether he lived or died, the ghost of his crime would always cling to him. Night deepened inside the prison cell. Nam sat still, clutching his head, staring at the cement floor. No more footsteps, no more fleeting white figures, only silence and his own breath. I must endure, I must pay. A breeze drifted in through the window, cold yet gentler than before. Nam closed his eyes, and Lin's image appeared in his mind, not furious, but sorrowful, calm. Learn to stop. Nam's voice quivered as he whispered. I understand now. I regret everything. Her figure faded slowly, dissolving like mist in the pale light. No whispers, no icy hands on his shoulder. Just silence, heavy, but clear, a reminder that the sin remained, and regret would be his companion for life. Nam slumped down, tears falling, finally realizing that it wasn't anyone else but his own greed that had dragged him to the edge of ruin. I will live with it forever? A strange mix of fear and relief washed over him. He understood now. Even if the ghost was gone, the lesson of greed and its spiritual price would haunt him for the rest of his days. Nam woke up in his cell, the cold fluorescent light shining straight into his face. The smell of cement and dampness lingered in the air. He sat on the iron bed, holding his head, staring into nothing. I had to live with this. At mealtime, Nam said nothing, quietly eating. Every clink of the spoon against the bowl sounded like a warning drumbeat. Other inmates passed by, but in Nam's eyes, Lin's ghost appeared faintly behind each one, her sorrowful gaze fixed on him. Greed will kill? Nam shut his eyes, nodding slightly, realizing he was paying for his greed and sins. He drew a deep breath and whispered, I won't repeat it. I'll endure it all. That evening, when everyone else had drifted to sleep, Nam looked out the window. The hallway light stretched long shadows across the cement floor. At the end of the corridor, a faint white figure appeared. Lin stood there, her white dress stained, the blood now faded, her face gentle. Live with the lesson? Nam nodded softly, tears streaming down. I understand. All alive, remember the lesson? Her figure slowly faded into the dim hallway light. No whispers remained, only a heavy silence, reminding Nam that his mistakes and their consequences would follow him for life. Nam curled up on his bed, sweat and tears mingling, yet deep inside, he began to accept his fate, knowing his life would forever be tied to repentance and the lesson of greed. Night fell, and the cell sank into silence. Nam lay on the bed, eyes wide open, heart pounding. When he dozed off, the dream came immediately. Lin stood in the prison yard, her long hair draping down, her white dress smeared with blood. Her eyes pierced straight through him, not hateful, just sorrowful. Greed has killed? Nam trembled, stammering. I know, I regret it. In the dream, scenes of the past replayed, his first steps into gambling. The moment he heard Lin had won the lottery. The bloody night of April 30th. The nightmare looped without end. Pay the price, pay the price? Nam clutched his head and screamed. I know, I'll pay. Lin moved closer, this time her smile gentler. She reached out and touched his shoulder lightly. Live with the lesson? A cold shiver ran down his spine, yet his heart felt lighter. Lin slowly faded away, leaving only silence and the dim hallway glow. Nam opened his eyes. The cell was still dark, but this time no white figure appeared. He sighed, tears rolling down his cheeks. For the first time, a fragile sense of peace touched his soul. He understood that the punishment and haunting would forever serve as his reminder. All alive, live to remember, to never repeat it. His voice echoed softly, blending with the distant murmur of rain in the hallway. A constant reminder that greed and sin never disappear. Only acceptance and atonement can remain. Early morning in the prison, Nam sat on the iron bed, staring out the window. The rain had stopped, leaving puddles that reflected the pale light of dawn. I had to live with this. He let out a faint smile, though his eyes were still red. The days of haunting had taught him one truth. no money, no power, no gambling win could ever outweigh the loss and the crushing weight of regret. Once more, Lin's shadow appeared in Nam's dream. This time, she bore no blood, no rage. Her face was gentle, her gaze sorrowful yet calm. Greed will destroy humanity? Nam nodded slightly, his voice trembling. I understand now. I'll live to remember? Her image faded, leaving only heavy silence, a reminder to Nam and to anyone listening, every selfish act, every blind greed, carries its price. Outside the prison, the faint sunlight filtered through the iron bars, glinting off puddles on the ground. The ghost was gone, but the echo of its warning still lingered. Greed is a double-edged blade, killing both body and soul. Nam lowered his head, breathing deeply. For the first time, he accepted that the rest of his life would be penance. Though afraid, though remorseful, he had learned the most painful lesson. Only by knowing when to stop can a person preserve their humanity. The story ends here, yet the darkness remains, whispering its warning to us all. Greed will destroy humanity. That concludes this tale. Thank you for staying with us until the very end. If you enjoyed the story, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel. It's the greatest encouragement for us to keep creating more chilling ghost stories for you. If you have any questions or notice any errors in the story, feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you for watching, and *bong toi trong dem * will see you again in the next tale. Disclaimer: the content of this video belongs to the horror fiction genre, created purely for entertainment and to bring a chilling experience to the audience. We do not promote superstition or encourage any dangerous actions mentioned in the story. Any resemblance to real individuals, locations, or events is purely coincidental. Thank you sincerely for supporting Bong Toi Trong Dem *.